Hey, this is Angelica McDonald with another episode of the Next One Up podcast. Today's guest is my friend, my soror and classmate, Miss Sade Ray. She is a graduate of the class of 2007, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 2007. I've known Sade for a really, really long time. She's also the director of Hoke County Parks and Recreation, and I feel like she would be a great person to have on the podcast. So I definitely wanted to get her on. Hey, Sade, how you been doing?
Hello, how are you doing? And thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a blessing to be here with you today and to bless you with my presence as well as receive your blessings from your presence. So thank you so much for having me.
No problem. It's always love, particularly between us, and I feel like we've always been really supportive of one another. Even like if we don't stay in contact, when we see each other, it's just like, hey, it's always, we always show love, and that's one thing I can say about you. Like, you have been consistent. You have not changed any since I've known you. So, it's always been love. You've always been the same. You just grown in a better, like, great way. You just become better. You become greater. So I'm really excited for this opportunity just to start the conversations. The other episodes that I recorded, we've touched on quite a bit of things, and I'm really excited to discuss them with you and get your take on it. So let's start from the beginning. When did you start your sports journey, and what sports did you play?
I started my sports journey at a very young age. I would definitely say about 4 years old. My dad had me in all types of recreation activities, moving along from recreation to school ball, to AAU ball, travel ball. I played in numerous sports. I played volleyball, basketball, softball, also ran track. I boxed growing up. My dad had me in everything. So that's pretty much where I started. I played in different states growing up. My dad would take me to different places: Tennessee, Chicago, Georgia, here in North Carolina, and of course, starting at home in Hoke County.
Wow, I didn't know you boxed. So, like, where were you boxing at? Did they have did we have boxing in Hoke County?
No, we did not have boxing in Hoke County. I started off with my dad, so just like a little boxing training that he would do with me. And so, it carried on with me throughout all my life. When we stopped boxing together, it started, just me just being a tomboy. And then, so now I train right now through boxing.
Oh my gosh. So that's something I've always wanted to incorporate in my workout, but I've never actually taken a class before. But I really enjoy looking at people train when it comes to boxing. It's a different type of endurance that you have to box. Like, I would have never. Wow, that's something that we should definitely try to bring to Hoke County. Like, I really could see like that being, especially like with kids and aggression and stuff like that. It's just like a positive way to kind of like how they use karate. It's a positive way to get your emotions out or whatever and not hurt somebody.
Arts and Parks and Rec. So we do have martial arts that up for kids and adults, and it's great. It's awesome.
So we have it for adults too. Is that one of the programs that you expanded? Because previously we didn't have it for adults, right?
We did not.
Okay.
Yes, but it has expanded. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So what inspired you to start playing sports?
I would honestly have to say my dad. Growing up in a household with my mom, my dad, and my sister, my dad was very active in my life with sports, and so he motivated me to, do my best and try my best. And I mean, he was a stickler for, working hard and never giving up. My mom was more so of the punchliner. Like, she was just like, you can't rate yourself on this person just because you're better than this person. You got to play against competition. So I had the best of both worlds growing up in the house with my mom and my dad. So I would definitely say my parents were definitely great influences in my life for sports, for sure.
So you say your parents were basically sports influencers. What other people were sports influencers for you, like outside of just like your parents?
I would definitely have to say the late great Coach Kim Ray. She is a great inspiration in my life. Growing up, I was a hard nut kid, but sports was always a thing for me. It was never an option of I was never a good player. It was just something that you just pick up and you just you learn and you got it. You just got it down pat. I was never a late bloomer. I got it, picked it up, and I just became so great. And so, growing up throughout Hoke County, like she was one of the people that actually she was probably one of the most influential person outside of my parents that motivated me for sports. And it's just like whenever I did something wrong and she was just like, you gotta do better, you can do this or you can do that. I always listened to her. So it always was my goal to make sure that whatever I did, I had to go further because I knew she was always watching. I knew I would always be a person of interest for her to say, if she can do it, anybody can do it. And so she was a big influence in my life for sure.
Yeah, Miss Ray, like it's so many laughs. Remember Miss Ray because when I was cheering and we were traveling, her and Miss McFadden will always, she would always be there at our football games and stuff. She would always be there, and she always was definitely like so positive. And she was tough on us. Like even, the kids that weren't her, the athletes that weren't her, her own athletes, she was so tough on us. And but she always had some words of encouragement or something positive to say. And it was just kind of like another like auntie or something like that would look after us. And, when we got into stuff, she always was there to like speak up for us and defend us because she knew us as kids. Like, it wasn't just we were just some random kids and doing stuff. She understood that we needed to have people to have our back. So that's like Miss Ray was, she was a gem. She really was, and she's definitely missed here in Hoke County community. And I'm sure amongst all of the people that she impacted. So I mentioned that you are the current Parks and Recreation Director for Hoke County, but let's talk about like your evolution. So, you played in school, in high school. Did you play professionally? Did you play in college? Let's talk about that.
Okay, so yes, I did play in high school. I played 3 years at Hope County High School. I transferred and finished my high school career at Westover High School with the great Coach Gene Arrington. He is absolutely amazing. Next to Coach Kim Ray, he's there. He got it. I started off playing volleyball, of course, with Coach Campbell. She was absolutely amazing. I was a captain, went in as just my first year at Westover, but as a senior, and became a captain on the volleyball team. Did absolutely amazing there. Started off starting with volleyball. Did an absolutely amazing job. She was a great coach as well. Everybody knows that Hope County is a stellar volleyball program at that time. But playing under Coach Campbell, she was absolutely amazing. I then transitioned into basketball season. I was going from volleyball practice to basketball workouts until the season started. Coach Gene Arrington was just so thrilled to have me come to Westover. He was so excited. And I mean, I was excited too, but of course I had to be humble and be kind of like, okay, I'm not that excited because I was by myself. I had family members that went to Westover, but it's just like I felt alone because, I came from Hope County High School where all my friends were, where my family was, majority of my family, and it was a hard transition for me, but I had to do what I had to do. Coach Arrington.
No, I was going to ask you what prompted you to transfer. Now, was it for personal reasons? Was it sports reasons?
I'm just gonna say it was personal reasons.
Okay. Because some people, and it's happened before, where some people, start with Hoke County and then they transition just basically a lot of times based on the opportunity that we don't necessarily have here, but the exposure that they could get in another county. So that's why I asked, but continue.
Yeah, so I would say it was definitely personal and sports related. Coming over to Coach Arrington, he made it very known to my parents right away that Sade is a stellar athlete. I mean, she should have people knocking at her door left and right. And at that time, I had some people, but I didn't have a lot of people. It only took Coach Arrington about a month or two while I was still in volleyball season when coaches just started contacting me because, you know, at Westover, they did things different. They had the summer camps where they would, where he would call coaches to come see us play. He had travel ball where even though I was playing AAU, he still would have a team for us to play on that was our school team. So he had coaches coming in out of nowhere. It's just like coaches was coming from nowhere. And I was just like, where are these coaches coming from? My dad was like, it doesn't matter. It's a good thing. Let's just keep playing. So it was a great transition. So that was my high school career. Moving on to college, I started off at a JUCO, which is a junior college. My grades was absolutely phenomenal. I just didn't want to be at a big university because I'm a very, very family oriented person. So I traveled to Chicago, Illinois, to Kaskaskia College. It's a Division I junior college, and the junior college is a 2-year school. So I went there on a full volleyball and basketball scholarship. So everything was paid for. Housing was paid for. Books was paid for. Food was paid for. It was an absolutely amazing experience. We made it to the Final Four. We were grad conference champs. I received Regional Player of the Year, Co-Player of the Year. Also in volleyball, I was Conference Player of the Year, Rebound Leader of the Year, Co-Rookie of the Year. So I got a lot of accolades. So I did really good there. And in August the 29th, I'm being inducted into the Hall of Fame for that JUCO.
Yes, I saw that. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm very excited about that. Moving from that JUCO, I had so many offers from so many schools. I had an offer from Campbell University, Wake Forest, UNC Pembroke, Missouri State. It was just so many to name, but I wanted to be closer to home. So I came back to UNC Pembroke to be close to my mom. And at the time, we were going through a transition with me losing my grandfather, which was the next best thing to me. And so it was very hard for me. So I came back close to home. And then my mom was like, I don't want you to be all the way up there. So I'm just like, okay, mom. So out of JUCO, I did have offers to go and try to see if I wanted to play overseas. Of course, I didn't want to do that right away. I wanted to finish my college career, so that's what I did. I went to UNC Pembroke, and I went there just solely on a basketball scholarship under Coach John Haskins. So I spent my last 2 years at UNC Pembroke. It was a great opportunity when I first went over there. I didn't start right away. Of course, coming from a JUCO, you shouldn't expect to start right away. But it took about 4 to 5 games, and I started starting all of my games. And so it went very well. He's a great coach. Pembroke was an awesome school. I did very well there both of my years in basketball, and I continued on the university, and that's where I pledged the great and the best sorority ever of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. It was a very great experience. I left UNC Pembroke. I went to Sand Hills Community College, and I did a massage therapy program where I became like a licensed massage therapist. During that time, I was reached out by an agent to go and play overseas in Australia. I went over, did some training. I got paid for it, of course. I didn't like the atmosphere. It's too far away from home for me. I'm very family oriented. So I stayed a while, did some training stuff, and I came right back. When I came back, I got the opportunity from Coach Arrington to coach at Westover High School to be the head coach. So I took that opportunity and I became a teacher at Westover High School as well as coaching there. During that time, I decided to go back to school and get my master's degree in sport administration. So that's exactly what I did at UNC Pembroke. Stayed there for 2 years while coaching and teaching. I left Westover High School, then went to Highland Middle School, which is in Harnett County. Became a PE teacher there, was there for 2 years while coaching basketball and volleyball. And then while I was coaching there, I was coaching at Central Carolina Community College, which is down the road from that middle school. So I was coaching college and coaching high school at the same time.
Girl, how did you manage that?
I have no kids. It was very time consuming, but I love coaching, so I stuck to it. And then so all this stuff going on, I graduated with my master's degree from UNC Pembroke it took me after the summer, and I said, you know what, I want to keep going. I'm a stickler for saying, you know, Coach Kimberly always told me. I remember calling her saying, you know what, I really can't stand, you know, grad school. I want to quit. And she was like, you're not gonna quit because I got my master's. She said, you're gonna finish and you keep going. And I was like, you know what, Mark, you're right. So I did what she told me to do, and you know, we lost her in the midst of everything going on. And I said, you know, I'm gonna keep going. And that's exactly what I did. It took me a summer to just, you know, get my body and my mind, you know, accumulated to school. And in 2016, I started a doctoral school at Capella University and for educational leadership and management. So I recently finished March the 21st, the day before my 31st birthday. That's when I finished my doctoral degree. So I'm now Dr. Shadi Ray.
Doctor.
Yeah, and when I left Highland Middle School in Central Carolina Community College, I came back home to Hoke County, and I started teaching science at West Hope Middle School, which is the middle school that I attended. I started teaching science and coaching volleyball and basketball. I led the volleyball team to be first in district and second in conference, basketball first in district and first in conference. So we did very well with both sports. My leader was Miss McLeod, Mary McLeod, and then she is absolutely amazing. She is a stickler, and she molded me to be a great leader that I am today. And God blessed me with the opportunity to, you know, interview for Director of Parks and Recreation, and here we are today.
Goodness gracious. So let's go back to coaching. So when you were in high school and you were saying that your coach at Westover was inviting people to come see you, did that happen when you were in Hoke County? I mean, what was the difference between what you experienced in Hoke County versus what you experienced at Westover?
What I experienced at Hoke County was just raw and uncut. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you ask other coaches from other counties about Hope County, they're going to say you're always going to get a tough player. You're always going to get the scrappy players. You're always going to get the fighting players in a good way. Hope County taught me how to be tough. Hope County taught me how to never give up. Hope County taught me how to be raw and uncut. So no matter where I go, Hope County is always going to come out of me. But however, I just feel like, you know, as far as getting athletes where they need to be to the next level, in my generation of when I was there, athletes that came through, it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And I'm not saying that we didn't have a lot of resources. I just feel like a lot of people overlook Hope County because we were so small. And I feel like, you know, so many great, ambitious players come from Hope County and they just can't be found and they just can't be seen. And I feel like, but you know, when I went to Westover, it took him a month. And then it's like people calling my dad, people calling my mom. They want me to come visit. And I'm just like, you know, this didn't happen before. So I wouldn't necessarily say, you know, that Hope County was doing anything wrong. I'm just going to say that Hope County didn't utilize the resources that they had to put these athletes on the map. Okay. And so I feel like that's a big difference between, you know, the counties and the coaches. I mean, Coach Arrington put his stuff out there. He made his stuff known. He wasn't that coach that would just, you know, have so much pride that you just sit there and don't say nothing to a coach that has more experience or more connects. He used his ability as being a member of Omega Psi Phi and utilizing his resources, saying, hey, I got some good players. Look, what you're gonna do? We need to get them to a school, because he told me when I came there, he said, I promise you, you will be successful. And for somebody to say that to you and not knowing you, it means something to you. So you believe in them and you trust them with your career, and that's exactly what I did.
So it seems like he had a vision of his players going somewhere. Like he had a vision of them, like whether they were going to play, you know, in college or just, you know, being successful in general. He wanted to make sure that they had the opportunity, and he was supportive of that potential opportunity, and investing in them more than just being a coach. I mean, he was like they're a little bit more of a liaison. If he had connections, he brought them in, you know, or if he knew people, he brought them in. He went the extra mile. Now, when you were coaching, well, I'm sure that's something that you learned, that because that was missing with you in Hoke County, was that something that you were trying to do when you came back to coach? Well, even when you just started coaching and you came back to coach, is that something that you wanted to make sure you implemented in your programs?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Coming back, you know, I said to myself, coaching at West Hope Middle School was a absolute blessing, and I had the great support of Miss Mary McLeod. But it's middle school. I felt like high school would have been a better option for me because I did also coach varsity at Westover. I was assistant varsity coach at Westover, so I knew the ropes. I know college coaches, so it's just like I want to help these girls, but then I realized it's bigger than me. So, being blessed with being a director of Parks and Rec is so much bigger than me. I don't just get to help those kids at Westover or those kids at Highland Middle School or the kids at West Hope Middle School or the college kids at Central Carolina Community College. I now get to help all of the kids around the entire county, starting from 5 years old to 4 years old on up. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, Hope County Parks and Recreation did not have camps that started before the actual season started. I implemented camps that would start before each sport starts. So these kids actually learn the fundamentals of the sport. Because, for me, Parks and Rec was just like, you just go play and you have fun. Yes, you need to play and have fun, but you need to know what you're doing. Because when you get on the middle school level, because I know when the kids came to me and I'm a middle school coach and a high school coach and a college coach, I'm thinking, where you learned that at, babe? They're like, oh, we do this in Parks and Rec. Oh, no, well, that's not right. So now you're starting over from scratch. And I know how coaches feel on each level because it's not okay. So it starts at Parks and Rec, teaching these kids the fundamentals. And, my goal is to have these summer camps where we have coaches come out, but all the stuff happened with the pandemic. What my goal was to have the coaches come out, the college coaches, and look at these kids and see them at an earlier age so that they follow them from middle school to high school and hopefully, recruit them. That is the ultimate goal.
And we had even talked about collaborating on like a panel and trying to bring kids, like bring people in and more or less like let the kids be able to ask questions, but for them to be able to learn and even like a conversation we're having now, being able to get that perspective and that wisdom, because at the end of the day, like a lot of them, they don't have like personal mentors when it comes to sports. So even just putting people in front of them who they can ask, say, hey, maybe they, you can be my mentor or somebody. The person on the panel may see something in one particular child or see a fire or something in them and say, you know what, I'm gonna follow you. Who your mama? Who your daddy? Because I see something in you and I want to make sure that I am, even if I can't pick up all the kids, I might just be able to pick up one child and be able to follow them and help them and execute and, be that person for them to stand in the gap of, where their parents may not know much about, sports or may not know much about recruiting and being able to, give your child a platform, but being that person that could be that stand in between to help them maybe potentially go to the next level. And I think that's been that's been something that's been on my heart. It's part of the reason why I wanted to start this podcast is because I wanted to share the stories, but for these stories to influence the kids and to be a resource for them and for their parents. And for them to see, like, there's so many great stories, like you said, coming from Hoke County, but we're just not, people just don't know it. People, these very stories could be your driving force to push forward, to, motivate yourselves and, or motivate them to want to move forward and, whether it's to play professionally or just go to, like, use that scholarship to get your education, just to know that is possible. And honestly, like, I wouldn't think in this day and age we would need to do something like that, but still being in a fairly small, well, I mean, we've grown to be a pretty big county though. That's the interesting part. Like, our population is pretty big, but just it feels like the impact though hasn't grown with the size of the county. So, it's just been really interesting. So I'm really excited about the programs that you have with that you're planning on pushing out with Parks and Rec, particularly not even just for the kids, but for the adults too, that need to keep moving and, get together, and just that camaraderie. Because I remember growing up, And my mom and my aunts and them, they used to play softball. They used to be in an adult league playing softball. So, like, why don't we do that stuff, our generation? Because now we're the adults. And, while we
Right.
can still move, why don't we, do stuff like that? But I'm really excited for you to be bringing that stuff to back to the light, because, with the different challenges that we face every day, obesity, mental health and stuff, sports is definitely an avenue for people to, stay healthy, stay active. So I'm really excited for what's to come. My next question is, what are some challenges that you faced during your sports journey?
Um, the challenges that I face, I just would say, not everybody is going to be for you. Not everybody is going to believe in you. We are not the same. Everybody is not the same. Everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different intake. I learned just through coaching that you have to treat some players different. Like, for example, you can go in on one player, go in and just be like, you know better, this is that, the third, you got to do this, and you can yell at them and, fuss them out, and they got it. The other players, you can't do that. You got to be calm, cool, and collected for them to be able to be productive. And I would say one of my challenges that I had, a coach for that I just didn't feel like she understood me at all. And I mean, she never did. She never could shut me down. And I just feel like that was one of my biggest challenges, but it also became one of my most motivating drives.
So how do you think you actually overcame those obstacles? I mean, what did you do?
I'm a visionary. So what I mean by that is, growing up, anything I say that I'm gonna do, I always did. There's not anything that I said that I was gonna do that I did not do. Like I remember when I was a little girl, I used to say, I'm gonna be a great basketball player, and I'm gonna make sure that Mama never had to pay for anything, and I did it. I remember saying that I'm not having no kids until I get married. Well, I'm engaged, and my wedding date is coming up pretty soon, and I still don't have any kids. And it's just like I just feel like anything that I say I'm going to do, I put my mind to it. So if you tell me that I can't do something, I'm going to do everything in my heart, mind, body, and soul to prove you wrong. So I overcame it by keeping positive statements in my head. Like, you have coaches that come at you, and for me, that was a drive for me. I can take hard stuff. Like I'm a tough cookie. So anything they say, I'm gonna be like, okay, I gotta do this. So if I hear a coach say, "Oh, such did this real good," all right, cool. I'm up next and I'm gonna do it better. I'm just very competitive. So that was always my drive.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the part that you said, like, you can't approach every athlete the same. You got to know them, like, to start to really learn them and understand, like, hey, I got to approach everybody differently because what I say to them is going to affect them differently. What are some challenges or what were some things that you dealt with as a player that you see that the kids are dealing with now, that the players are dealing with now? Like, what are some things that literally just haven't changed over time? The problems just continue to happen.
I would say getting the kids where they need to be. I just didn't understand how some players that I knew that were so good just didn't go nowhere. Like they just didn't go. And I didn't know, for sure if it was the grades or what. But even if it was the grades, junior college still was the option. So why didn't the help get to these student athletes the way that it should? Because a lot of people say college isn't for everybody. No, college isn't for everybody, but help is for everybody, and everybody deserves help. I see that a lot today, and I don't see a lot of successful females making their way to where they should be. And for me, that bothers me because I just see a lot of athletes and I see a lot of coaches recruiting, and I'm just like, I look and I know because I was a college recruiter. Like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Because you need to get to know these players in order to recruit them properly. Know what they're like on and off the court. Have a conversation with them. Don't rule them out because they had a bad game. Because the Lord knows I have had some bad games where coaches came to see me play, and if they were just judging me off that one game, I would have never made it. Everybody has a bad game, but you got to know the story. And I feel like some today and before then, it's just like people just didn't take the time out to actually have a conversation with athletes, see where they want to go, see how you can help them. Because if you're a Division I coach or a Division II coach and you feel like you don't want them or you can't help them, then how about you spread the love to another coach or another junior college coach to help these kids?
Mm-hmm. And that's really big. Actually, my first career, my first sports career, I wanted to be a college basketball recruiter. That's so funny. You say that. I agree though, like it just really does take getting to know these kids and like you said, what do they want? Like what do they want out of things? I mean, like I said, not everybody wants to play professionally. Sometimes people just want to be able to get up out of where they are and be able to have the opportunity to see more things, see better. And I always, I think knowing the goals of each individual child is going to be, big to determine where they go,
Right.
and how they use sports as their avenue as for where they actually go.
Right.
As a coach, what advice do you have for other coaches to help them be more aware of what their players deal with personally?
I would say have an open door policy. A lot of some coaches don't have open door policies. I would say understand who your players are on and off the court. That's very important. And for me, I have never had a bad relationship with any of my players because it's like I'm the same mom for them, just as well as it should be. They spend the majority of the time with you. You know, they go to school, they go right to practice. By the time they get home, it's time to eat dinner, do homework, go to bed, do it again, repeat. So it's just kind of like you spend a majority of time with these kids. You need to understand who your players are. I would definitely say do team bonding. Open up to your players. Let them know who you are. Where did you start off? How did you get there? What obstacles did you have to go through? What challenges did you have to face? How did you overcome those things? I would say open up. I cannot tell you that there's one player who don't know me personally. I let them know that hey, the struggle is real. Okay, so just because you see me in my success light right now, it was not always a light over me, going through this transition to get to where I am. And if I can do it, you too can do it. It has always been my goal to make sure that I touch every single child that I come in contact with and that I impact them. It's like they become my little babies, like my little daughters. And it just becomes very important for me that I help them get to where they need to go. There's not one player that I cannot say that I don't keep in contact with. I keep in contact with all my players. If they call me and say, hey, I got some players so I got, some of my players and graduated out from 4-year schools. Then I got my babies from high school that's, about to be finishing college. Some had babies, some are already married. So I feel kind of old, but I'm not even old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a good thing.
You just started young. That's what it was. You started young. You
right.
started coaching real young, so you've been able to see quite a good age range of kids by now. What are 3 characteristics that in your opinion, that make an athlete great?
I would say integrity, ambition, and drive. And I would say those 3 characteristics because, when I'm recruiting anybody or if I see athletes, like you can show me whatever you want to show me in the forefront, but what are you like when I'm not around? Are you listening to what I'm saying? Are you implementing what I've ever told you? Are you justifying who you are as a person outside and inside? Who are you internally and externally? And all those 3 things that I name are characteristics of, a player that defines intervention.
I like that integrity one because another one of my interviews, he said the same thing. He was like, I want to know like who they are as a person. I want to be able, like, before I actually recruit them to come play on my team, like I want to see like who they are. I want to see how they treat their mama. Like, because if they don't obey their mama, they sure not gonna obey me.
Right.
So that's interesting. It's been brought up because a lot of the like main characteristics like passion or work ethic and all that stuff. But I really like that you said integrity because that's so important for just even human beings to have integrity. Is one of those to me forgotten character traits. So that I really like that. What does it mean to you to be an athlete from Hoke County?
What it means to me, it means that, I mean, you know, you're gonna get a tough cookie. Like, you already know what to expect. I remember playing AAU ball for Coach Kelvin Mills, and I remember when I came on his team, the very first, when he was, you know, introducing all the players, and I was a new player, and he said, "Okay, this is Sade Ray. She from Hope County, so y'all already know what you're gonna get." And then, so I'm looking at him like, what do they know they're gonna get? Like, what you talking about? So, you know, we continued to play and stuff. And I remember getting a rebound, and the girl, she tried to take it out of my hand. And I just snatched it away and went on down the court. He said, "Everybody stop." And I'm like, what did I do wrong? He said, "Let me tell you, this is a hound dog right here." He said, "You're not taking no ball from nobody from Hope County." He said, "Do you know what Hope County is?" He was talking to one of the other players. She was like, "No, I don't even know what it is." He said, "Well, you know now. When you come to anybody from Hope County, you better know that it's a full load truck coming." And I'm looking at her, and my daddy looked at me, and I was like, okay. So all in all, you're always going to get, again, raw and uncut, but a tough person. You know, anytime I tell somebody I'm from Hope County, they be like, "Oh, Hope County, what you mean?" I was just like, "No, I'm just saying, y'all get down in the book." Yeah, we do. But understand, we are still a close-knit family. I can talk about Hope County all I want to all day, but I would never let nobody else talk about Hope County. Absolutely. I am who I am, and I'm from where I'm from. I'm glad, you know, I came from Hope County, and this is where I call home. But at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure that anybody that I can help and I can impact them, I'm going to make sure that I do just that.
Yeah. What do you think makes us like gritty like that? Like and I'm trying to think about like just us growing up. What do you think played a role into us being such tough cookies?
I'm just gonna say just the heart and roots and soul of Hope County, from, you know, our ancestors that, you know, that built us up. But not only that, like, I have always been told to be so tough, and you gotta get down in the dirt, and you gotta get it. You want it, go get it. Because where we're from, people don't just see us. They see Hope County and they just keep going. But it's just like, you know, from a sports aspect, Coach Ray and also Coach Latoya Ray as well. I remember, you know, being in practice, varsity practice, and she would elbow you and keep going. And I remember I used to look at her like, "You a whole grown woman, what's up?" And she was like, "Well, you want to be better or what?" And I'm like, okay. So, you know, I like stuff like that because it taught me how to be tough. If I can go against a grown woman who is not faster than me, but stronger than me, then I'm gonna do whatever I can, because I know when I play in that high school game, oh, they ain't gonna be able to handle me. And that's what it was, and that's what I love about Hope County. They always bring back the old players to play against the new players and bring back all these great mentors to help us and to better us, but to make us tougher. But I feel like we should also utilize those great people, those great resources to help us get to where we need.
Yeah, like even that should have been like a whole all-day event. Like imagine, because you know we used to have the old school basketball games, and we used to have them quite often. We haven't had them in a while, but that would have been so cool to be able to have like a panel or something, or just like a one-on-one where they actually can help build some skills and stuff, kind of like a little mini camp or something like that. That would have been so dope, like to even expand. Like, oh, I get like the first time we just gonna have a game, but maybe like make it add some more enrichment into it for the kids, you know what I mean, other than just being able to see, you know, who come and see in the game, you know what I'm saying? Like we should really think about doing that.
We should think about doing that.
2 more questions. What is your best sports memory or moment?
My best sports memory would have to be I have 2, so I'm just gonna tell you both of them.
Okay.
My first one was at West Hope Middle School. I was playing for Coach George McNeil, who is so great. And we were playing against Spring Hill, and we were down. No, we were tied, and it was a timeout, and we had the ball. And I remember Mr. Manil saying, "We just need to score." And I'm just thinking to myself, "Oh God, we need to win. We need to win." And I remember I got a pass from Eugenia Grace, who is Mr. Blues, the late great Mr. Robert Blues' granddaughter, and she passed me that ball, and I went down the court. And I remember the girl fouled me, and I thought I missed the shot. Didn't know I made the shot. Mind you, I'm only in 7th grade. I made the basket and got an and one, and I had to go shoot the free throw. I was so excited. It was the best moment in life for me. And I made the free throw. We won the game. It was just like, as a kid, it's just like, oh my God, I did it. I'll never forget that moment in history and life ever, as a middle school athlete. And then moving on to college, high school, I was at Hoke County High School and I was playing for Coach Kim Ray. And I remember before the game, she just said, I need you to play your heart out because I really want to win this game. So you need to play. And I said, all right, Coach, I got you. I'm going to get my jersey number. My jersey number has always been 32. And she was like, she said, I don't know if you're going to score that many, but just play a good game. Man, I remember I had 28 points. And it was like maybe 2 minutes left in the game. I said, oh my God, I need to score two times. I hit a three, and then I scored a bucket, and I was just so excited. And after the game, mind you, I wasn't thinking about the points. I was just thinking about I fulfilled a goal. And when we got in the locker room, and she just started crying, and she just was so happy for us because we were conference champs. And we needed to win that game. Mm-hmm. And so she told us, she was like, you guys are the best group of girls that I have ever coached. And I mean, she just looked at me and she just said, I am so proud of you. And it's just like from her, the stuff that she says and the stuff that she has said, for me, it's very heart-throbbing for me because she really, really is so inspirational in my life to this day. And I have my moments where, I get in my feelings, but I realize that, it's bigger than me and she's in a better place. But that moment I will never forget. And I just miss her so much. Mm-hmm. So that is a great moment for sure. Mm-hmm.
That 7th grade one, because I can only imagine, it's kind of like being like that first great moment. You got that first moment of like success, like it's or that time courage. It's cool to win games, but when it's that pressure moment and like you make the big play, that's like low key better than win like the championship. After you done blew everybody out, like. Those pressure moments, I think, also so young are very influential for players to be able to deliver and step up to the challenge. Like if they experience that at a young age, then they definitely can experience it older. But when I feel like sometimes there is a breakdown when you get a little older and you've never been put under pressure before. And then you have to, everybody's looking at you to show up and you kind of, you choke a little bit. Sometimes I think that when kids are put in the pressure situations, and I mean, not anything to put them, in harm's way, but pressure situations early on, it helps them to be able to rise to the occasion every time. They know what it feels like. So my last question is, what is one piece of advice you would give to a young athlete in Hoke County?
I would give them the advice to never give up. And just because you're from a small county and you feel like nobody sees you or nobody hears you or you feel like you can't be seen, it's okay. If you want to get it, go out there and make yourself seen. Do the unthinkable. Be a standout. It's okay to feel like, you're scared at times, but you got to rise above the occasion. And if you have to reach out to your resources, reach out to your resources. Even if you feel like, you don't know how to talk to an adult or you're not going to be, nobody's going to pay attention to you because they're higher up. It's okay to feel that way, but you will never know if you never try. And I say that simply because I have so many, beautiful athletes in Hoke County, and let alone I have 4 amazing, beautiful souls in Hoke County, which are my 4 nephews, and all of them play sports. And my nephew, who is the oldest, who just graduated from Hoke County High School, who is, who played football at Hoke County, and it's so amazing when we have so many great people from Hope County and people just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I leave my advice with these young people that just because you have the LeBron James and the Lisa Leslie and the Candace Parker people to look up to, I think for me, and for I speak for every single amazing, intelligent, talented athlete from Hope County that made it, and you got all these younger kids that can look up to you. I think I noticed it, but when my nephew had his senior project, the question that it asked him on his senior project was, "Who is your inspiration?" And he said, everybody looks up to, again, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and all these famous people, but I have my real life, personal, amazing, talented, professional athlete right at home. And he was talking about me. That was the best experience that I ever felt in my life. And I feel like if he feels that way about me, and he is a very, very talented, smart young man, if he feels that way about me and he can look up to me, then we need to put our people out in Hope County so that these kids know who these athletes are, know who the Kelly Daniels are, know who the Eric Maynards are, know who the Earl Wolfs are, just know these people. And I feel like if you get in tune and you touch hands with these people and they're able to uplift you and empower you, then you can do anything you put your mind to. Don't stop, because the great saying is, you can get there from here. Mm-hmm. So I'll leave that with all great young minds, that you can get anywhere you want to in life from Hope County. Mm-hmm. And that's the advice that I would give these young minds.
Well, thank you for joining us today for our episode. I just want to make sure everybody knows to follow us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can catch our, of course, if you're listening to us on the podcast, you probably are following us on all the other podcast platforms, but just make sure you follow us. And thank you again, Sade, for joining us. It was definitely a great conversation. I hope that somebody took away something, because you had a lot of good gems in there, a lot of good gems. Well, before you leave, tell us what you're working on or what's coming up for the next season.
Right now, we're working on getting our numbers up for football, soccer, and cheerleading, and we're just trying to make sure that we keep everybody safe during this pandemic. Right now, we're just focusing on, just being the Parks and Recreation department that just helps our community and just keep our numbers up. We are expanding and going into a new building that is should be being built soon, starting in September. And I know that it is going to be an absolutely amazing thing coming to Hope County. We're going to have a whole bunch of new programs. And I just want to say, look forward to it, because it's coming soon. And when it comes, just make sure that you come to our new building.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Sade, and I hope you have a wonderful day.